I'm Elisa.
And we are
Green Meeple, Purple Meeple.
Well, we're back, and this is Cube 4 back here. A couple of disclaimers. First of all, you may have seen Ven, the party game there, several times that we've done our last several videos. We will not be reviewing Ven because I haven't really adequately had a chance to play it with any sort of party, and it's not the kind of thing that we can play during the week with just two people. Even though I think it is technically slated for 2 people, I just don't think it would give the right impression. So, but one of the things that is inside that cube that is really just for kids mostly, but it's kind of a fun collectible that I just wanted to show. This is Fantasyland, the game, which originally came out in the 50s, but I'm not sure. I don't have the original rules sheet, and so I don't know exactly when this particular edition came out, but some friends that are Disney fans, fellow Disney fans, got this for us, and I got the opportunity to play it a few times with my sons, and it was fun. It was cute. It's like it's a kid's game, you know, but you're drawing tickets and you get to move around, and then you're trying to collect stars, and it's a points thing, and it's cute. So I thought that was kind of special and fun. So there you go. That's Fantasyland. No rating because who am I to rate a children's game?
All right, well, I'm going to get us started on this week's Cube 4 reviews. Again, we are using our J. Garcia Target.
Z
Garcia. My apologies, Z. Target for theme, art, replayability, game length, ease of play, and tactics. For our overall scores. So, Ticket to Ride, Rails and Sails. Most everybody's probably played some version of Ticket to Ride. I really enjoy this version. It is rails plus sails plus boats. So your tickets in the map has both boats and trains. So there's 2 decks of cards, trains, boats, wild cards. You start with a certain number of trains, a certain number of boats, and you have to make those work during the game. You can trade them out, but that basically takes your turn, and there's a maximum amount available for the whole game.
When we originally had America also, I think it was the American map, I think.
For
real? We had America. No, the original.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I'm not typically going to keep 2 copies or 2 versions of the same game, so we decided to go with this one because it adds a little more variety with the boats.
And so this has a world map because then you're crossing the oceans with your boats, and then there is a Great Lakes version, so you're going anywhere through the Great Lakes areas, Canada and the northern US. So, you gonna start with our lowest scores on this game?
Yeah. Mine was art and game length. And the art just because it's basically a map. And I mean, the box has some lovely art, but I'm just not big on it. And then the game length just because it tends to me, it what do they say? Outstays its welcome, or it tends to be for what it does, which is basically just playing these cards and trying to fill tickets. I've always felt this way about Ticket to Ride, that it just I'm kind of like, wow, this is cool, and then after a little while I'm like, okay, this is still all right, and then after a while I'm like, this is getting boring. How many more ships do I have? And so just for me, like that just tends to score a little lower.
My lowest would be replayability. It's basically the same game every time you play it, and
that's just because you win by a lot. By the way, she usually laps everybody in the game.
I'm good at collecting tickets. Yeah. What can I say?
She does a great job.
So yeah, replayability for me. Though it's been probably years since we played, I could play right now. So okay, for your top score.
My top scores are ease and tactics. Because there is quite a few different, especially because you have alternate routes that are sometimes the boat version versus the train version. You can get blocked pretty badly, but we tend to be a little bit kinder. Just
in a 2-player version.
Married couples, you know what I'm talking about. You have to be careful sometimes just to not, like completely crush each other. But and then as far as ease of play, I mean, like I said, it's a very straightforward, pick a card, play a card, or play a set of cards. And I think most young kids could probably figure this out. So,
my top score is a 9 for
oh yeah, those were 8s, by the way.
theme. I really like the theme, and I just love a good map. So I do like the theme, even though it's a fairly simple game.
Okay.
So my total overall score for Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails is a 7.33.
Oh, mine's a 7.
All right. And I could give it some extra points because I do love it. But anyway.
All right.
So that's Rails and Sails, Ticket to Ride.
So our next one is Lords of Waterdeep. And this, you can't tell by the outside, but this has, what was that? Broken Token. Yes, this was one of the early games that I got. And I decided to kind of pimp it out and give it that wonderful inlay wooden insert. And then also it has the skulls of I can't remember what the name of the Scoundrels of Skullport or something like that. Scoundrels of Skullport, I think that's what it's called. The expansion, which I personally feel is, I think it's important to have. That sways this game up for me. It is a worker placement. You have a certain number of spots out there that you can take, and this is kind of an earlier worker placement, medium to lightweight worker placement, and it's that thing that makes worker placements difficult for me, which is where someone can get in your way and basically block you from doing anything that you want to do. That's what happens in the base game of this. Once you add Scoundrels of Skullport or whatever it's called, once you add the expansion, then it adds a couple more little boards out there, and some of them make you take on corruption, which is kind of a neat, I don't know, it's kind of a Lord of the Ringsy thing for me, where, how much are you willing to corrupt yourself in order to get ahead? I think that's kind of a neat idea. And the answer is not very much, because I usually try to get rid of it as quickly as possible once it's on me.
But yeah, the corruption you lose points with.
Yeah, you lose points by the end if you have too much corruption. But it allows for a few more options if you're trying to get those orange cubes or whatever. There's another way to get it, but it usually causes some corruption and some point loss. So that's why I prefer to have it with the expansion on there. So lowest score for me is theme, just because even though I do like the idea of the corruption, that's not really necessarily a theme. This is supposed to be a Dungeons and Dragons game. I've never had an interest in Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't even think you need to play this, because it's like a paper thin theme. I mean, it's really just collecting cubes.
Yeah.
It could be...
Like, the theme is quite forgettable, really.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, let's play that cowboy game, or let's play the train game. Like, well, those are still confusing because there's so many train games and so many cowboy games. But that's the story.
Train games. Spoiler alert.
There you go. Cowboy train games. But yes, that was theme and art again. Both 4s for me, because it is super forgettable. I keep forgetting. I'm like, wait, what's that game? Oh, that game. But
I think my favorite art is this guy in the middle that kind of has his eyes rolled back like, oh my gosh. It's really funny.
But
what about your
highest?
Score?
I have 9s for game length and replayability. I think it's 5, 6 rounds, 7, 8.
It's 8 rounds.
8 rounds.
They go by pretty quickly.
The rounds go quickly because it's, you just place I think it's 4 workers or whatever. So the rounds go pretty quickly, but the worker placement, the way you gain points, the ways to earn points to the game, I really enjoy that part of the game, no matter what its theme would be. It could be chickens.
Yeah, well, and one of the cool things about this is that while there are limited spaces in the base game for sure. You are also able to add your own spaces, which kind of mixes up
within your buildings.
Yeah,
so you build buildings and they
become additional spaces. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And for me, I also gave a 9 for game length because it's like just right. It doesn't feel like you've run out of time too quickly, and it also doesn't kind of drag on and overstay its welcome.
Nice. So my total score for Lords of Waterdeep, 6.83.
I have a 7.6.
Okay. All right. So for our next selection in this cube is a more simple, straightforward game is Kerala. This game we've introduced to a lot of people. Pretty simple to play, a pretty quick game to play.
Oh, it goes up to 5 too. Wow.
There we go.
We could play it with our whole family someday.
So basically the only components to this game are tiles and elephants in each player's color. And you're building ways for the elephants to traverse, but you also are trying to keep your colors together to maximize the points scored in the game.
Well, and the theme is an annual elephant show in Kerala, India, where they actually put colors and ornaments all over elephants and march them along on a big stage. And so that's kind of what you're doing, basically.
So, and that's basically how the game's played. So it's a simple, quick game, but one that we do enjoy playing. And we probably could play with our oldest son fairly soon.
Yeah.
So let's see. For my lowest score is art, mostly because it's 5 colors of cubes, 5 colors of elephants, or not cubes, but tiles, and it's just the same elephants on the tiles. They're pretty, but there's just not a lot to it.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, you said low score.
Low score.
Low score is tactics for me because they are kind of limited. I do like them. I think they're clever. But yeah, there's basically, one way that your platform is going to go, and then there's some correction tiles basically. And if you don't get those, then you can't really fix whatever it is. You always have to put a tile on your thing, or you knock your elephant over, I guess, right? Yeah. So you either have to use the tile, or you get to knock over each of your elephants once and lose a little bit of points in order to not have to use the tile. But it's kind of the same. It's a very straightforward, simple, basically abstract game.
Okay, and for high score, I said ease of play. It's pretty simple to play, it's simple to teach, and that makes it a good game to introduce new people to gaming.
Yes. Yeah, what do they call it? A welcoming game. It used to be called a gateway game, but that makes it sound like drugs. So, for me, it's actually a 3-way tie. I have for theme, for game length, and ease of play. Theme was basically because it's very clever to take something like this festival and make it into a game. That's very clever. Pardon me. And then the game length is fine, and then the ease of play, of course.
Okay.
Simple.
So your total score?
My total score is a 7.
Okay, mine's a 6.67, so pretty close on there.
Yep.
And that is Kerala.
Okay. Oh, the next one is a biggie. Whoa. Kind of heavy. It's kind of the hotness, right? It's been very high up in Board Game Geek recently, and I think for good reason. And this, by the way, also has we've got the Aquatic Realms or whatever, the new expansion, which I think is also kind of an essential one. Although we enjoyed it beforehand, but once. The main thing that this does is it kind of flips you through the cards faster, which is good because it is a fat deck of cards. It's something like I'm not kidding. It's about that tall as far as the deck of cards goes, and you're probably not going to get through much of it, especially if you're playing 2 players. That's difficult. It goes up to 4, and you're building a zoo, but you're building a zoo from the ground up. You actually just have a plot of land, and you are actually having to, dig the basic buildings or build them, I guess, little tiles on the plot of land, and then you're sticking various animals in there, and you have to group them by type, or there's a reptile house and there's a bird house possibility, and then you're just racking up points and making connections with different donors.
You're doing various research.
Yeah. I think probably the most interesting thing about this is that there's the game board has two tracks going around it. One of them is kind of basically environmental consciousness, and the other one is attractiveness of your park, basically. And you've got two tokens basically that go up and around, and then at some point they pass each other. And as soon as they pass each other, that signals the end of the game or the beginning of the end of the game.
Correct.
And then you get to add up everything else, and you push yourself as far apart as you can. And then for each player, this space in between the two passed tokens is your score. So you can literally be working the whole game and get all the way over here, and you gained all these points, and then this guy comes over here and goes boop, and this is your score right there. Just that little, 2 points. I think my first game I had a negative
10
or something like that. Yeah, so it is possible to get negative points as your final.
But it is a very enjoyable game. And I guess we'll look at our scores.
Yeah.
Because I actually enjoy this game quite a lot. My lowest score would be game length. I was just sitting here as Adam described the game. 90 to 150 minutes. That's a long game, especially with little time and children and all that. I love the game, I really do, but sometimes it is a little long, but it does take that much time to be able to build your zoo because we're building it from the ground up. So a 6 for game length.
Okay. Yeah, and at some point we'll have to talk about what we've done to be able to play games like this with small children around.
Yeah.
It's not always possible, but sometimes it takes a couple of days. We'll have to go into that at some point. That might be fun.
This box is so big, it's blocking up all of us.
It's all good.
Anyway.
So my lowest score was ease. And that was just because I pretty much, even though I kind of know how the game goes, every time it's one of those ones you have to keep the rule book nearby, because there's a whole lot. I mean, every one of those cards in the stack has its own situation going on, and I mean, endless numbers of possibilities. And
a lot of different icons on the cards, and you're like, wait, what does that mean again?
Yeah.
And it's just so much going on, but that's not so much a negative.
That's a 6 for me.
Okay. My high scores were theme and replayability.
Mine too.
At 9 each.
9 10s.
I just have a hard time giving 10s. But yes, there's just the variety of cards. You could have a different objective every single time you played for many times. And this is one when we first got it, we probably played 4 or 5 times the first month or so.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much the same there. With theme, I think we've discovered that one of our favorite things to do in games is build something in front of ourselves. Don't you think? I mean, I think that's kind of, zoos, yes. Zoos are fun, and you'll see we have several zoo type games. But in fact, we did New York Zoo last time. But I think just being able to put something together, a tableau, I think they call it sometimes. But, something in front of you that you're making that's like your own project, that's kind of fun. So,
yeah. So, Ark Nova overall score is 7.66 for me.
And mine's an 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah. I do like this game.
Okay. Next up is Wreck Raiders. So, Wreck Raiders, you're divers, basically, searching for treasure in the bottom of the ocean. So it's a worker placement game, and then you're building, what do they call it?
There's like 4 different things you're doing.
You're
all at the same
building
time.
like statues, and then you're building an aquarium, and basically to gain points. So I'm just gonna jump into our rating. I think I might have. Oh, I was confusing myself.
Lowest.
It's not lowest first. Replayability. It's the same game over and over. I gave it a 4. I don't even know if my biggest qualm about this game. I'm going to get off subject for a second.
Okay.
But my biggest qualm about this
It
game
is this game, so it's okay.
is, and it's not in any of our categories.
That's fine.
It's like it's 2 to 3 games in one. It's
That's
like we created this game. Oh, they're all ocean themed. Let's slam them all together because you're building this aquarium and you're gaining points. But why are we building this aquarium? I thought we were diving for treasure, but you're sometimes gaining. I don't know. It's a little confusing. I like the theme of the game. In fact, that was my highest score for this. I just totally jumped ahead and went off script.
That's okay.
But
We don't have a script.
7, valid.
Yeah.
7 for theme. I do like the ocean theme and you're diving for treasure. I do like that theme. I like that you're building statues or whatever you're getting with the treasure, but the whole aquarium thing could just go away. All right, so I'm done.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll do all my scores. My lowest are 5s, and they're game length and tactics. I think I gave a low tactics score because there's just it always feels like there's something to do, but not in a good way. Like it's it doesn't feel like anything's blocked off because there's so many things that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're building, and it's a museum. You're putting together a museum, which I guess ties in if you're getting, because you're raiding the wreck and you're getting stuff that's valuable, and then you're putting that in the museum. That's a nice line.
Yeah.
I agree. The aquarium thing is kind of strange, but again, you can maybe it's because the other way you would be blocked too much or something, and you couldn't, or maybe I don't know what it is. I'd be interested in talking to the designers to find out why they felt the need to add that in. But yeah, the tactics, it feels like, okay, maybe I'll put more shells on this, or maybe I'll just get another fish, or maybe it feels like just kind of a lot going on.
He's always better explaining things, like tying that in with tactics. So,
okay.
Anyway.
And then, thank you. And then game length, it just does go for a while. Now, the plus side is that because there's so many things going on, I can sort of play this with our 5-year-old. Not all the rules, but like the basic idea of rolling the dice and the number corresponds to where you go in the wreck. That's something he can figure out. And then he just kind of builds an aquarium too. And I think he loves it. So it's a lot of fun. Oh, and you do get to roll the dice into the box that has all the little crabbies and stuff, which is fun. And he does, there's a little bit of a toy factor in this one.
Okay. So we might need to keep it for our children.
Yes. And then my top score is theme. Again, same reasons.
Did I give my overall score?
Nope.
If not, my overall score is a 5.66 for Rec Raiders. And just a spoiler for our last game, that is the lowest score I have for this cube.
Yeah, and lowest for me as well. It's 6.8.
Okay, so if it weren't for our children, Rec Raiders would be gone.
Maybe. All right, so our final game for this time is another new one. This is Woodcraft. And this one is a dice placement game, which is pretty cool. Dice placement is always interesting to me because it's not just a worker, but it's a worker with value. But one of the things that's fun about this is that because the overall theme is some kind of strange elf clan that magically works with wood, that they are able to glue and saw their dice. So if you have a 6, you can saw it. You don't actually saw it. No dice were harmed in the making of this game. But you can split that number and grab another die, and then you've got a 2 and a 4, or 2 3s, or whatever, and then you can use those where you need to. There's also a really neat kind of saw blade. it's really almost indescribable. You'd have to just play it to know what's going on. But you're traveling around the saw blade, and it allows you to have different kinds of bonuses and things like that during the course of the game. That makes it a lot of fun.
Okay, so for our scores for Woodcraft, my lowest, as usual, would be art. There's not a lot of art to this game. The most interesting thing is the cover. It's just wood, tools.
Well, the little cards have those little creatures on them sometimes, I think.
There's a cute little squirrel here on the back, so he's cute, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I got.
That's fine. My lowest is ease of play, just because while this looks like something that you could just pull out with a group of family, friends and stuff, it actually is pretty crunchy, and it's another one that you have to have the rule book nearby, especially because there's another layer to your player board that's an attic. And actually Thinker Themer did a really nice review on this that you might want to check out sometime, where they explain that this other layer of the attic, where you're putting tools into the attic, and then two tools can make if they're on either side of a bonus, then you get a bonus. It's another way to get bonuses and points and things like that. And it just ends up making for so many different things going on. Not quite on the level of Rec Raiders, but it ends up making it where it's hard to just bring it out and start playing. There's a lot of things going on.
And this game's fairly new to us. I think we've played maybe 3 times, but I think I maybe got 1 tool in the attic once. So I couldn't even get bonuses because there's too many other things to use your actions for.
Yeah.
So I think I probably said I'd give it a few more tries, but I'm not sure how valuable that roof bonus thing is.
So and then let's see, my highest score is replayability, which I said was a 10, because there's just so many things that I'm always excited to try this again because of the level of different things you can do.
My highest was both game length and tactics. As Adam just said, there's a lot of various things that you can do. Your dice cutting, you can actually join dice together in theory.
Yeah, gluing them.
Gluing, thank you. I couldn't remember how we put those dice together.
Right.
Gluing, nailing, screwing, gluing. We were gluing the dice. And the game length, it's a longer game, but again, you need that length to do everything you need to do to achieve your goals.
Yeah. I forgot the lanterns. I don't even remember what the lanterns do at this point. Like that's what I'm talking about. It's like the complexity is just beyond what it needs to be, I think. I mean, there's just so many
lanterns are like bonus or like a redo or something.
Yeah, I can't remember, but there's 2 different ways to use them. It's another one. Anytime you have to leave the manual, the rule book right near there, right next to you, and constantly be. Even though the game may still be a lot of fun, but I feel like a game, in order to score high on ease of play, it needs to literally either be just really easy, or it needs to be so it needs to flow
intuitive.
So well. Intuitive, there's a good word.
I got a big word.
Yeah, it needs to be intuitive enough to make sense, where you don't have to keep checking and figuring out, is this the right way to do it? Am I cheating? What's going on? So that's Woodcraft. It's an enjoyable game.
Overall score is a 6.
A 6, which is high for you, I guess. Mine is quite high. I do enjoy this. This is an 8.1.
Wow, we did rate things at 10.
I know, I do. Yeah, I'm an easier to please. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And next time we'll be doing the top of the first row. So that's pretty exciting. We will have finished our first row by next video.
All right.
That's cool.
All right.
See you next time.
Good time.
Bye bye.
Green meeple, purple meeple.